Alrighty then, welcome back everybody, welcome back to the drawing. So as you can see, I have been, I've been doing a little bit here, which was actually, the feed to see which kind of color I want to go for. And right now I actually wanted to continue what I wanted to do, which is actually finishing this one off. So we actually have, the first bit done for the whole drawing. I think I actually went a little bit too big on this, but oh well. No further ado, let's get started and see if I can get this right. So this is just the coloring bit, but I already decided which kind of color I want to go for, so that's like dark blue basically. And yeah, because I noticed that this was actually not purple enough, so that's why. Alright, no further ado, let's get started and hopefully get to where I want to be with this, and yeah. So first things first, I need to make sure that this leg bit is correct. As you can see, the leg bit is a little bit of an issue. It has a little bit too little of texture in it. So I'm going to be seeing like what kind of texture do I want to add to it, or do I need to add some more texture to it? The basic things like, what kind of texture, when, how, and what. So that's what I'm aiming for. I also decided to make sure that I have like a darker color for the other part of the legs, because well, that's how shading works. Alright, first things first, need to make sure that I have everything here correctly placed. Alright, then time to get this one up and fixed as well. So now the question is like, what kind of things do I want to add to these legs? Because the back legs are correct. That is actually quite nice. They don't need any more detail work because of, well, they already have what I want with it. But the front legs are a little bit too open. So that's where I'm aiming for, like seeing like what kind of color do I want to add to it to get it right. All right. There we go. Alright, so I need to figure out what I'm going to be adding here to it, because well, clearly the front legs are a little bit too little. So I need to make sure that I have something here. I want to keep that bit right here that was already there. I need to do some cleaning up, but that should be tiny little work here. Alright, time to add into 5%, then go for that, and then see like what kind of thing do I want to add to this. Something like that. Yeah, that could work. But then I need to make sure that I have it right. And that should give me enough leeway to get it right? Yeah. Like that. Alright. So now we have the leg first bit done, and now I need to get the second bit done, and that is actually getting this color there fully, and then of course add then in the next bit of it. Alright, now that we have the base color line done, now what do I want to add to this? I need to have this one, and I need to add a little bit of a lighter color to it, but not too much, otherwise Doesn't work. Alright. Now I need to get this color and I need to grab the darker color. So darker color it is because of the back lag. Yep. And that is then exactly the same color as the back part of it all. Alright, now we've done that. Now I need to get the next bit up and running, which is then the line work on this thing. So, I noticed that there are some issues here that need to be resolved first, which is line work that is not connected. There you go. And now we can actually go back to where I want to be. So that is going to be on what? That bit, and that is, yeah, that's the bit that I need. Alright. Let's first do this bit and then get the rest up and running. So that is what? That's red with light red on it, right? Yeah. There we go. First apply the baseline, base color, then add in the lighter color, then the darker color, and then it should be all fine. Ah, let's put a mistake here. That's some leftovers in it, ain't it? Yep, it is. Now it's clean. Let's continue. Luckily this is just, you know, basic workaround, so that should not be a problem. Today was actually quite a fun experience already, because I wanted to start up the PC and then it turns out the PC was actually loaded up wrongly, so I couldn't log in into the fucking PC. And I was like, wait, but I'm applying the right password, and then it was like, nah, and you don't. And it's like, what? What? How? So I pressed the old-fashioned way of just restart. Turns out there was a issue within the coding files. I might want to update my PC, but then again, I really don't want to update the PC until the issue is resolved. And I believe that the issue will be resolved in, like, what is it? 2 or 1 month maybe. So yeah, that is gonna be an issue because CasualOS actually has a breach within the file in the folders. Well, technically Arch has the breach, but CasualOS falls under it. So I was like, yeah, better not update. And then it turns out that maybe updating is actually quite good because, well, you know, then that little bug doesn't appear. But so far, you know, it only occurs once, so, and as long as I can restart it, it should be fine, so no harm, no foul. And I even, you know, just quitted the PC and then just restarted, and that worked as well. I believe either the keyboard actually had an issue with the having like a switch in the the settings on it, or it was like an issue within the code itself, which actually is applied on the login screen. So let's hope that that issue is not that one, because that will make things a lot more harder, but you know, things happen. And well, you know, once this thing is done, I'm very happy with it, because that means that I actually have fully designed the rhino now to, well, the same style that I'm normally using, but I updated the version. Like I had like a very bland one. I had like this one, which was, not very, it was very basic, basically like that. And this one is far more, well, colorful. Well, technically not colorful, but it had more things on it. It looks a lot more better on the design part, because that means that it actually, stands out. If I would have shown you the other one, it's like, alright, it's a very gray rhino. And right now we have this, so that's good. And then I actually want to try something else out as well. So let's hope I can do this like how I wanted it to be doing. And I need to make sure that I have that eye is looking at, which it does. It looks straight ahead, so it looks here. Technically it looks a little bit up, so that's a fun thing. I can actually use that for my, well, drawing later kind of things that I want to do, because I want to actually just fill this entire thing. Not gonna lie, I actually wanted to create like this abandoned construction site where this thing just just broke into, and let's see if that actually works. See if I can actually get this visual thing actually working. Luckily, everything that I'm doing now is already pretty much what I want to achieve with this thing, because that means I actually can design new things from scratch. Well, not technically scratch, but I can actually design new things, or I can actually design things in the old style and then go back into the new style. It's not a very much of a style change. It's more like of a improvement upon the style that I already had, and that makes things a lot more easier. However, there are some there are some things that I need to realize that I always need to remember. For instance, with the copycats, for instance, that one. Oh boy, that was that style. The style that I used there. Had some issues with the design, because I cannot draw a cat. Alright, that is a thing that I cannot draw. It is one thing that I was like, alright, I cannot draw a cat, I'm a little bit bad with it. And then I redrew a cat, and I was like, well, it doesn't look like a cat anymore, but I did drew a cat. It's just not as good as a cat as I was hoping it would be. But the things like skulls and all that stuff, all that jam, that works well. That is actually quite easy to do, because I already have been thinking like, all right, I have this style, I need to figure out like what kind of thing I can do, and I don't have to adapt the style that much. For instance, with the visual novel, that one actually had some issues with the style beforehand. I'll show you after this one, after this bit is done, by the way, and I'll show you guys what I mean with this. So with the visual novel, I will just give you like a little bit of a heads up like that. Like, I have been working on the visual novel for like, what now? 3 years, I believe, just to get the concept done, get the idea done, and then I actually created the character designs. I have not been, working on the story. I had like 1 chapter done. The second chapter I was still busy with, and I was like, alright, I will just first focus on the other things that I also need to do anyway. So I was more focusing on getting some more stuff done, like, character designs, getting it better looking. And then I realized like, wait, if I improve the style, then, well, I have to do everything again as well. So that's where I was like, well, here's a problem. Because I already fixed the style. I already had the style like, improved because of that, because I had already improved the style, and then I improved the style again, basically. And now the style is even more improved than before, which is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, that's a very good thing, but it means also that you have to do a lot of things. You have to also redesign things, like the smoothie menu. That's not so much of an issue. I think the smoothie menu was actually one of the things that I think that went actually pretty well. but then I realized like I had to do it vertical instead of horizontal, and that was the main issue. Alright, let's remove this bit because that is a smudge that you don't need. Then we're gonna go back here and improve this one. So the smoothie menu, for instance, was good, but if I wanted to create the environment around it, like, you know, the thing that where the whole scene plays out, you need to have a scene representation. And I was like, all right, fine, I'll do it. I'll try to draw a new kind of design, which actually worked out pretty well. I'm very happy with the end result of it, but oh boy, it was like a life-changing moment, like, ah! Damn it. I did it the wrong way around. God damn it. This bit needs to be drawn and colored in, not the other way around, because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Or that one, but then this doesn't make sense, so I'm gonna be doing this one and then the other one. Looks also very funny though, because of that. Alright, let's just grab this bit, let's grab this bit. And then I can see what kind of color that I want to use and what kind of color I don't want to use. Because that's the whole point of it. Well, technically you want to always keep consistency within the color use. So you want to have a color palette, but then the color palette doesn't need, you don't want to change the color palette too much. Mainly because you want to keep consistency within the drawing, you want to keep consistency within the character design. Because if you use that color palette, it also means that because you're using a consistency within the color palette, it is recognizable, and then because it's recognizable, you can actually reuse it, and then immediately when you're using that color palette, you immediately know, like, alright, that thing represents that, that thing represents that. Like, for instance, with this rhino, you know, I think I wanted to go a little bit with orange to it as well. Because I'm already having some orange here and there. I think it doesn't hurt to add it in. Ugh, Jesus, that's slow. That is way too slow, I'm talking. But yeah, I wanted to add that in as well, because then the effects are actually a lot more better. However, it will then be a highlight, and that means that because of a highlight, it means that I need to be very wary of how to place them, because otherwise, you know, you ruin the proportion of the drawing itself. And right now we're not actually using a proportion of a drawing, we're actually using what? We're actually just creating the first bit of the drawing, which is actually just one character of like an entire screen basically. And that is also a thing that can happen. Like, you know, you wanted to just create the design, you want to create that thing, you know, and then you need to make sure that you're using the right colors for the thing. Because sometimes colors are actually a lot more difficult than just drawing it black and white. Because black and white does create a benefit. It means that you don't have to worry about most things. However, you need to then create shading, and shading is also important. Also important in color, but when you're using the shading of black and white, it's a lot more easier and a lot more quicker than when you would have used it in just coloring. Because, well, you know, colors define things, and that is the main issue. Because when you have a color, and you have like a color like yellow, for instance, yellow with black, and then you create a bee, well, then you know that it's actually representing a bee. However, if you would have used, what was it, purple with green, that doesn't fit at all. That is such a terrible combination of colors. Because if you would have used purple and green, for instance, just give me a second, I need to find green. Here's green. So if I had green, for instance, right? I had green and I had purple. So purple is over here, some-ish. Yeah, well, technically it's over here, but... So if I have purple and green, for instance, You notice that, by the way, you notice that, let's put right aside of it. So this is red, for instance, huh? And if I would have used yellow with it, you know, it still works, because if I had the yellow and then I had the inner red, it still works, because, you know, it actually, you know, highlights the thing that you want to highlight. However, purple and green, they both represent calm colors, so they don't represent aggressive colors. They actually are quite calm in their perspective, which means that you actually have basically this. Technically, you could replace them both with this, and it will not make a difference, because if you zoom out, for instance, it is actually not a very nice color, because green doesn't complement purple. However, if you would have put purple and then however, if you would go for green, for instance, I'm just gonna grab that green and then just grab green right here, and you would have added a red line to it, you see that that also doesn't complement each other. So green and red also doesn't complement each other. But then what does green do? Well, green is one of those colors that actually works pretty well with lighter colors, but not itself, but most likely itself. However, for instance, light blue with green, that works. But I think if you want to go for green, and I'm going to be just picking up green here, and then I would have added a lighter green to it, those colors actually are far more better, because if I would have drawn a leaf, for instance, a leaf, and then fill it up. Now maybe you should have done it the other way around. Oh well. So if I would have done this, for instance, if I would have drawn it, we'll save it like this. I do not want to waste all of this. And then bam, 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 bam. Then of course adding in a little bit of a shade to it. So if I would have used, you know, green upon green upon green, that actually works pretty well. And then if you then add in purple, for instance, and you would have done something like this. That is blue? No, that's purple. Right? That is... no, that's still blue. This is purple. Almost no difference. But yeah, this color doesn't work with green, because it actually hurts the entire thing. I think the best way to add purple is like, you know, if you have a purple box, right here you have a purple box, and then you have like a shading effect on it as well. You make it like into a bubble. You make it into a bubble, and then you would add in like orange, for instance. I believe that's the one that I actually can use, right? Yes. Now, need to make sure that that is not fully the same color. That does complement a lot more better. Yes. But yeah, purple and green are like one of those colors that you need to be wary of, because they are pretty bad at doing things. Because technically there are blends of blue and yellow, and purple is then a color of... what is purple then? I believe a blend of red and blue? If I'm correct, that's correct. I hope I'm correct here, because I have no idea, to be honest. Let's first add this in there. Nice. Alright, so now it's already getting good. Alright, I need to make sure that I have that into darker color as well. Oh, fucking hell. So many fucking things to be worried about. Oh well. And make sure that I have these things correctly. So let's first make sure that I have this bit done. Also, it is extremely hot today. And I mean it like... It is tropical beyond belief. Jesus, my head. So it is actually extremely tropical here for today. I believe the humidity is around 50%, which explains like the moist coming off everything. But fucking hell. I was not expecting to have like this hot summer again so early. Normally the hot summer only comes around August. And then it's like fucking hot, but right now it's like still July? July or June? I'm not good with this. June, yes, that's the word. So it's still June already, and now it's already hot. While the summer vacation period is not yet there, which means that a lot of things, like the stores, are closed because of the extreme heat. My local bakery is closed. My grocery shop is closed because of this extreme heat. Normally they don't do that, but well, it is very moist, and that means that if you have something like fruits or bread nearby, it gets spoiled very quickly because of the heat. And that is not very good, because if you have spoiled food, well, congratulations, you're in violation of a lot of things as a grocery shop. So yeah, that is actually that's like the main problem they had, and I believe that they are working on solving the issue, but it takes a very long time to get it all right. Wow, did I do it like that? And that works also, but then nah, I don't think that is actually quite useful. I think having this is better. And then I need to make sure that I have that effect. Do I want to like that, or do I want to like this? Because both actually work well. Right now we have this, and then I can actually add in the things, or I can add in the light color here, this color. And then, of course, adding in the things where I have the dark issues. So, does this work? Do I want it like that? No. That looks ugly. Alright, then we're gonna just keep up with the things that I had before. The idea of beforehand, because, well, we cannot have an ugly fucking thing ruining the entire artwork. Even though, the artwork is not yet done. I'm missing the environment, I'm missing the second character that it looks at. So all of that stuff needs to be done. And I'm going to be challenging myself to do some silly stuff with that. I'm thinking about creating another chibi, and then see if I can get that right. Because, well, I want to add this effect there. Then, let's see. I need this one to be here. There. And there. So yeah. The best news about all of this is, by the way, I should have bought myself a fucking swimming pool. Well, not a full swimming pool, but I mean like, the one that you actually just, set up at the front yard and then just fill up with water. And then just sit down and be like, yes, this is good. Good enough. Because I could technically put a swimming pool in the backyard where everybody else would also be, my neighbors be, and all that stuff, because that's where I store always my bicycle. But holy shit. I could really use that, like a little bit of a cold water, refreshing kind of effect. Because, damn. Today is, it was not fun waking up to like fucking 25 degrees outside. I was like, and this is why you're supposed to be closing windows. Fucking hell. I forgot to do that, by the way. Fucking closing windows while the heat is creeping in. Because I was not expecting this amount of heat. I was expecting like, a thunderstorm and then nothing. Because, well, it is, it had rained, but the thunderstorm was I actually expected to be falling, and it didn't. So that's the main issue. And because there is no thunderstorm, it means also that everything else is absolutely, how do you say that? Not cooled down. That's the word. Jeez, English. It's not my best language. Oh well. But getting the entire design done, that's the most important part for today. Like, within an hour getting the design done, and then after that, then I can actually focus on doing some more. I'm gonna be doing a Japanese lesson stream tomorrow, that's for sure. So I keep up with the entire thing. And then next week, I can actually then do another Japanese lessons, and then we're gonna go back here and then put the environment on this thing. So then I have like a fresh start upon the environment, so I can actually think about it, then put it onto the screen, and then indeed do the thing that I want to do. Mainly because I wanted to just, create the design first, which I have done now, basically. I'm now almost done with the entire design. However, it's missing the environment, it's missing the background, and most of the time the background and the environment requires a lot more care, because, well, you don't want to put this onto a very aggressive background, because that would lead to the creation to be blended into the environment, which is bad. You don't want to put it onto a very plain background, because then it misses the expression that you want to represent on the drawing, which is like, the thing is angry, ready to charge, blah, 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 blah. So both things are bad. However, I am bad with buildings. I'm good with destroying buildings, so that's why I'm going to be putting like a destroyed environment on it. However, I want to put it into a modern environment, so I need to be looking at some pillars and all that stuff. And, well, that's why I'm actually taking, like, the inspiration from outside. And I'm going to be doing that, then Sunday, most likely. I'm going to be looking at some buildings, making sure that the buildings are, like, what does it look like when things are destroyed, basically. And then, next week will be then, again, Japanese lessons, most likely, because tomorrow will be, and then next week also, because I want to do some repetition. So it's going to be repetition of the words that I already have written down, and then afterwards, I also need to do a full translation of an entire sentence, so that's also a fun thing to do. So repetition of words, double checking of words to double check my homework that I did with it. Well, it's technically not homework, but it is, repetition is always the key to success here. And then after that, we can then fully focus on the drawing again. Man. This is getting good, but my head is not working with me today. And I know that I'm almost 20 minutes in only. 30 minutes. Close. I had such a feeling. But that doesn't discourage me from anything, so let's do the thing again. So we're going to be now making the nails happening. Because, well, you know, we have this bit done, and then I need to make sure that this bit is a little bit darker than the front bit. Then I will do with some easy shading, and then we're going to add some shading to the drawing itself. So by adding in another color to create, instead of that light purple, we're going to create a darker purple, and then that would create the effect that I had beforehand with the original drawing. And then it actually is the original drawing, basically. But first, we're gonna make sure that we have this. Because these are just the nails, and I do want to have these nails done. And I think I will keep it like this. Because, well, not keep it like this, but like that. But then here. A little bit different, but a little bit of a variation. But I want to have this drawn into it. Yeah, there we go. Got that done. Got that done. Easy. Alright, then that one. So it's all basic line coloring, and then getting from the basic coloring to the design effect. Right now, the entire drawing is almost complete, which I'm very happy upon. I could have added some shading, but right now I don't know where I want to put that shading yet. Of the shadow, so I actually could add a shadow on top of this. However, I could do it like this, you know, and I think I will do that, but I need first an environment for it, basically like that. I think I will place him on some broken concrete, basically, because that's how that works. Alright. And it looks like a fucking intimidating rhino, so that's the whole point of it. I really like that. It's a lot more intimidating than the gotta go fast rhino, basically. The fast rhino, that is actually going fast. Because this is already in action. This is already in action, but it is absolutely tiny and way too cute, and I don't want that. However, this one was too bland. It was too plain. And now we have this thing, which is a lot more aggressive looking. Even though that the colors are a little bit, the purple is too light, so that's why I actually wanted to change that up. So that's where I'm aiming at. Alright, so now we have this one done, this color. Now we're going to go to the light color, and then after that, we're going to go to the darker color. I think I will go like this on the lighter, on the nails, and then get the darker color like, there you go. Because right now we're having like a very casual way of doing it. It's also a very basic way of designing it always, but it works. So that's why I do it. You know, drawing animals is not my strong suit, don't get me wrong. I'm more of a person that actually likes to draw reptilian kind of creatures or insects, but this is actually getting quite good already, and I'm very happy with the final result of it already. So that's why I like it, because of how this works, because of how the drawing works. All colors actually complement each other, so because of that, you don't have to worry about most things. However, there are some issues here and there with this. And I need to make sure that I don't do that. Let's see. So now we have this. Now it's a very bland, basic coloring on the nails. I need to make sure that that actually is a lot more refreshing, far more energetic to look at, because now it's a very bland, not very good looking. Because, well, you know, it's just basic colors and it's terrible to look at. So we're gonna need to make sure that this design is correct. So time to do some experimentation on this. Let's grab that and let's see if we can get that crystal effect also on the nails. So I need to make sure that I then have like a ladder effect on it. Does that work? No, that's too basic. That is bad. Alright, how about this? And then this one right there, and this one right there. This should work, if I'm correct. So, adding in a lighter line to it, then it creates that shine effect, which we need. So now we have a shine effect on it, and now we're gonna go for a very unnatural approach on this, but let's see if it works. I'm gonna be putting this onto a different layer because of that. There we go. And then here. Now we have shine on those legs. That looks good. However, let's see. I spot a mistake in the line work. That is indeed a thing that I need to fix. So just give me a second. All right, this one is bad. That one is way too jagged. That is a terrible fucking nail as well. So let's fix that up by putting it like that, right? Yeah. There you go. And that should fix that issue. So now we have a nail that actually looks good. And then it means that I need to make sure that I have that colored up. And I need to make sure that I have that nail. No, that is this one. No, that one? Yes, that one. First cleaning up. Then removing the line work that is left behind as a smudge. And then go and deal with this issue right here. Alright. Now, no, that's not in there. It's down here. No, there. No. This one? Yes, this one. That one works. Now time to fix the last one, which is actually the front leg, which actually that bothers me now also dearly. So let's fix that up. So we have this front leg. That front leg needs a little bit more guidance. So, oh. So how about this? Close. Alright. Then we have that one, that one, that one. Yes. Alright, so that is indeed a thing. Alright. Time to fix up the things that I had. Time to get this thing to this size. And I noticed that there are some issues here, so let's fix that as well. Alright, time to get back in here. Oh, fuck. Well, be damned. Oh, fuck. Alright, then let's see where that is. That is then in here, right? No. It's in here? No, it's in here. Oh god, it's actually that. Alright. Now we have done that, we have done that, we have done that. Now it's time to add in the shading, which I already did a little bit more. Alright, so now we have this shading effect that I actually want to go for. It highlights the creature itself a lot more better. Basically like that. Luckily for you, luckily for us, it's just, you know, it's just very, very, very bright purple, or very bright purple that is extremely dark. It's very aggressive, but alright, so I need to get around here with this, because that actually highlights the entire thing. It also makes it very easy to use, because that means that I can actually use this to create a separate how do you say that? I don't have to worry about anything, and I can actually add shading towards the entire thing. Basically like that. Because of this. There we go. I need to make sure that size is a little bit more manageable. Easy. There we go. And now we have ourselves a new purple fucking rhino. Without the issues of being not purple enough. Ah, yes, I forgot that part. Oh well. Luckily I saw that. And here we go.
Now it looks a lot more better.
And then I need to also add in the effects on this bit as well.
So I need to make sure that shading effect also applies on those things. I need to do that on a separate layer.
Oh, that's not what I want. Nice. So without, with, without, with. Yeah, that looks a lot more better. Alright,
Let's see.
yes, alright. Then I have that, I have that, I have a shading there. I need to make sure that I have that bit colored up. Alright, sure. So let's do that. Alright, now I have done that. Time to get the next bit up and running, which is on this one. This one, right? Yeah, that one. Alright, that one. No, this one. Group, group. Time to add in the things that I want. So I'm going to be adding this one and making sure that I have like a very transparent one. Let's see, this one right here. Alright. Let's see. There is not very interesting, right? No, the rest is all light up. This one. And then that bit, and then that's it, right? No, this one as well, and that one as well. Alright, then we're gonna go for a lighter approach. Does that work? Or is that no, that's not workable. Alright, fine. Yes, that means I need to do this one on the other side. I need to fix this bit, because that is absolutely ugly. Alright. Alright, that's enough. Good. Now we actually have an entire drawing done for that bit. And then we only need to have the background. But looks like I actually did it within an hour. That's the good part. Means I am actually getting better and faster at it, which is good. So yeah, tomorrow we'll be doing another stream on Japanese lesson most likely, and then next week getting back at the Japanese lesson and then fixing this one up as well. But that will be then, I will switch it around, so that's gonna be around Saturday most likely, or Friday, depends. Could also do Wednesday. But yeah, I hope you'll enjoy for now, and thanks for watching. And yeah, I'm glad that this thing actually is now fully done, fully completed. And now the only thing I need is actually something that it actually looks at. So that's what I'm gonna be thinking about. So yeah, I want to wish you a lovely day, and bye.